Why do some Muslims move to non-Muslim countries if they don't like the culture? Because they don't plan on integrating into the culture, just on benefiting from higher living standards while confined in their own communities. $. My young teen had a friend over to the house the other day. The kid got a call from his mom and had to abruptly leave once the mom knew where he was. His father knew. The reason for the sudden departure? His mother did not want her teen interacting with us because we are of a different culture than her. And she did not want her son to lose his culture, and she was sure we would feed him meat. We are vegetarian and respect others' food choices. And corrupt him. They were being teens and playing Nerf in a safe space. I am deliberately leaving out all of our ethnicity's culture because it is irrelevant. Different. Yes. The mix of heartbreak and anger my son and I are both experiencing is horrible. I just can't wrap my head around moving to another country only to judge and shame the culture you decided to join, and to enforce that kind of hate onto your child. I don't believe it is Muslims only. But it happens with many immigrants, refugees. They come from a country that may have war. Or they come from a poor country. They want to go to a country with good jobs and with a social policy that will give them money if they don't work. Many refugees will refuse to apply for asylum in one European country, like Italy or Greece or Bulgaria for example, but will try to go to Germany or the UK, where the financial situation is better. Once there, they will refuse to adapt, learn the language and laws of the country, what is culturally acceptable and what is not. They will show their contempt for the country that adopted them and try to police their neighborhood by attacking, for example, women passing through who are not dressed according to their values. I believe that when you move to another country you must try your best to adapt, without forgetting where you came from, or you and your family will remain misfits and miserable. The us against them attitude and the try to get out of them as much as you can never help. In my father's case, my home nation was having a civil war, and he moved to Australia to get a job to send money to his family. And this when he was 20. Although he isn't a fan of the drinking culture or gambling etc., he can still respect the opportunities given to pretty much anyone and everyone. As a matter of fact, he hates how Saudi is nowadays. Not from Saudi, just as the capital of the Islamic world. Economic or safety reasons. I think it's fair to expect everyone to adapt a reasonable amount. But at the same time, that's all that can be expected when people left their homes for unhappy reasons. This may be a bit of a sweeping generalization, but I'm sure it is because there are certain freedoms they wish to enjoy that would be considered taboo back home. At the same time, even the most open-minded people can fall short of understanding some social conventions and mores. The best way I would describe it is they want the benefits and freedoms they don't have in their countries. But their religion also tells them others shouldn't be able to enjoy those same freedoms. Islam is very big on us vs. them. Muslims vs. infidels mentality, which creates a huge barrier for a lot of Muslims to integrate in new cultures that don't adhere to Islam's moral teachings. Because some of those Muslims come for better life and opportunities and that's it. They do not understand that a lot of the culture in the new country contributed to the wealth of it. Take for example banning women out of work and education. How it will be without most nurses or teachers. For them is normal. For us is not. And yes, unfortunately some of them are angry with the culture of the country they moved in because they are not used to it and they refuse to understand it. This applies mostly for people raised in very religious backgrounds where religion has a major impact on society and economic I remember a news report from Pakistan. They were interviewing people in extreme poverty. And the poor man worked 10 hours a day and had 5 children. A wife and the parents to take care. He was working in the city and they all lived in an apartment. He mentioned that he did not let his wife work because her role is in the house like his mother. And the father also due to intensive labor was invalid. Now look at another Asian country. Chinese for example. If the family can barely survive, the women will not have a problem to work as long as the children are taken care of. From purely this economical fact, his culture was an impediment to have more wealth in the family. Before throwing stones, I mentioned some, not all. As long as you follow your religion beliefs without harming others, I don't have a problem. It's 'cause countries like the UK are a soft touch and give them everything, so it is easy money, easy life. We have recently immigrated neighbors and the parents are practicing Muslims, but it looks like they are letting their kids decide. They are super awesome people and go with the flow. I like how they are doing it. It allows the kids to keep and cherish cultural norms from their parents without resenting them, while still being able to go to school and live as integrated society members. My parents were immigrants, and at that time, my grandparents were militant about adopting the US way of doing everything that I feel like a lot was lost culturally between my grandparents and me. As a person who is a born and raised and still living there, citizen of a country that has a Muslim majority, I'll give you a different perspective to what you're talking about. I'm from Turkey. We have a significant amount of Turkish diaspora, especially in Europe. If you know, you know. Turkey is struggling a lot with terribly high inflation among many other problems due to the governmental officials. Can't speak much on it. Don't want to go to jail lol. This little PS summarizes the problem too, I believe. This diaspora generally immigrated to Western Europe in the 60s from conservative small towns, places of Turkey. Thus they have a more conservative mindset. And they can vote for our elections, even after not having lived in Turkey since the 60s. Their concerns tend to be, how much a Muslim is this candidate? Quote, location, Germany. Instead of people can't afford to buy basic groceries. But they'll vote for the progressive parties in their country since those tend to be pro-immigration. Lol. They'll vote for someone here 'cause he fears Allah. I like that, but not going through the consequences of the regime themselves. A lot of them didn't integrate into the Western culture and still kept their mindset from the 60s. Basically. Which is fine. However, the small part of the diaspora that does not do the things above and actually thinks with a what do the citizens of Turkey go through? Perspective. I love you. To change the country they've moved to. This is an extremely xenophobic thread, and it seems like OP doesn't know a lot of Muslims. But all the benefit of doubt to the OP. I travel a lot for work and have lived in the US, Canada, Australia and Finland. I've met Muslims all over the world, and not once any Muslim colleague has complained about the culture or forced their beliefs on me. There are Muslims in every work party, function I've attended where non-Muslims are drinking, dancing and eating pork. I've never seen anyone complain. They usually drink their juice or Coke. All Muslims in my company also participate in work BBQs where they are eating Beyond Meat burgers. I have also spoken to several Muslims who have told me that they love the Western world because of the safety and future of their kids, medical care and freedom of expression. Sure, there is a small percentage of Muslims who might dislike the Western culture, might have some over-the-top extreme views. But there is a small percentage of extremist Christians and Jewish people as well. Ethnocentric discussion much? Why do people start with the premise that their culture is superior to others? Add in an ounce of religion and the dynamic escalates exponentially. This is a loaded question that has an implicit presumption that this is a major, undisputed issue among Muslim migrants to other countries in the first place. OP needs to prove that 1. Many Muslims migrate to cultures they hate. 2. They hated the culture before they migrated there. Many second-plus-gen immigrants get radicalized by bigotry and alienation they experience. Some of them are forced to move due to their country being bombed. At times, the bombing happened from or with the help of non-Muslim countries. I don't think people move to places they hate out of choice. I often wonder that myself. A lot of people judging here from their self-built pedestals. So I'll give a quick explanation. Culture equals everything. And especially if your country is war-torn and has virtually no opportunities but many risks. Then of course you'd want to leave and live elsewhere. People forget that a lot of immigration happens in countries with similar cultures. Look at how many refugees Turkey took in from Syria, for example. Additionally, it's a very blanket statement to say that refugees hate their adopted country's culture and refuse to integrate. As usual, it's a sliding scale. A minority refuse to integrate and reject everything from the country, preferring to live in their own communities. The majority, however, would integrate, at least partially, and interact with people from different cultures and religions, etc., etc. A refusal to participate in everything in a particular culture, such as drinking and so on, doesn't mean they aren't integrating, nor is it necessarily a bad thing. And as a side note, I particularly hate sweeping statements without any nuance. If people are going to comment on this, at least appreciate that you can't describe a whole section of society in a couple of sentences. They are like evangelicals and want to convert people to their religious views to gain power and money for the men in their religion. They take and take and take but give nothing back.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.